But I had a prenup.
I have a prenup.
Yeah. And and I think it's very important when you're older and you have children or you have grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
I think because then it preserves your estate,
Right.
You can still take care of your new spouse, but it does protect them also.
That is huge. That is,
Yes.
the second marriage. I have kids already. I want to make sure they inherit any property.
Right.
And make sure that is protected. And that's something I definitely recommend for anyone that's getting married and have children.
And doing a second time around, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've only had one prenup case where it got too heated and the marriage didn't happen.
Well,
And that was
in
part of it.
hindsight, that's probably good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
It wasn't my fault. Absolutely not.
I'm sure
No.
it wasn't your fault.
Welcome to the Exit Strategy, your no bullshit guide to divorce with the experienced attorneys from New Direction Family Law. Unfiltered discussions to help you move from victim to victorious and from bitter to better.
Hello, everyone. It's Elizabeth Stevenson. Thanks for joining us.
And Sarah Hink here as well, the lawyers and partners of New Direction Family Law. We have Cam with us again, Marketing Business Development Manager, and Joe in the corner back there. Sometimes he says something.
Sometimes he doesn't.
Sometimes he doesn't.
Sometimes he acts like a nut.
I was trying to see. I was trying to see if my mic was on. I might have something to say today.
Well,
we should have an episode where Joe just asks us questions.
That's a great idea.
I
love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's not today, though.
Questions by Joe.
Questions by Joe for the divorce attorneys.
I like that. What's our
And-
topic today, Ms. Hink?
Brings romance and real talk is the title.
Okay.
Prenups.
Okay.
So this is when things are good.
Yeah.
Happy.
Yeah. Right at the beginning when everybody's happy and ready to get married.
Yeah.
You've gotten your ring, right?
On your to-do list for the wedding.
You've got your venue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I love you, honey, but I've been thinking.
Yep. We need a prenup.
We need a prenup.
And
My
that,
parents really want us to have a prenup.
a lot of times it does come from the
It
parents.
does. I agree.
Especially if their parents have been divorced once or twice in the past. And
Speaking from experience.
yeah, which is
exactly.
great advice.
I
And,
think so.
That'd be a good wedding present for someone is to buy someone's prenup.
Well, didn't you
pay the
don't you
attorney
remember we
fee.
wanted to go to these wedding shows and set up
I
a
did.
booth and do prenups? I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, that's a joy kill."
What do people need? People hate. I mean, people have this idea about prenups that if I get one, it means we're going to get divorced, and you don't really love me.
Right, and that's you get car insurance because you might get in an accident, but you
Right.
don't think about it. You don't
Right,
want an
right,
accident.
exactly.
No one wants a car accident.
Yeah.
But the biggest misconception is we don't have anything, or we aren't rich, so we don't need a prenup.
Yeah, that people think it's for the super wealthy or celebrities. Or
We'll tell the
something.
Bezos that.
Yeah,
When they got married, they were in a garage, and
Yeah.
then, at the end of the day, things change. So
that's true. Things can change, and also something to think about is the worst divorces I deal with is when people are fighting over debt.
true.
So you can put that in the prenup that their debt's their debt and your debt's yours. So he has his credit
wouldn't it
card.
work like that anyway. If you have a charge card and you charge something that I don't know about, why am I responsible for that?
Well, it's for the marital household if you're married. And
Even
there's
if I
no
don't know
prenup.
about it,
Yeah, go out and buy a Louis Vuitton.
and that's going to go. So we're each going to split that debt if we separate?
Most likely, if
Well,
it's
that
something you
sucks.
should have known about.
Well,
You're living in the same household. Your wife
you
likes to go shopping. That's the standard, that y'all have together.
So how does a prenup take care of that?
Well, it sets out, a lot of times I advise they do, title control. So if that credit card's just in husband's name, then and he goes out and, spends lavishly at whatever watches, whatever he's into, then that debt on that credit card is his. And instead of having to split the debt 50-50, it's his separate debt pursuant to the, prenuptial agreement.
Right.
So that's one thing to think about. And also during this conversation, when you're speaking to an attorney about how that works, you're like, something should go off in your head is, I don't even know what kind of spender he is. I don't know if he has credit card debt.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
I think you should have, we always have premarital counseling or whatever, but people don't like talking about money
No.
at all. It's just it's taboo for us for some reason.
But can you imagine getting married and then 6 months later finding out that this person has $50,000 in credit card
and
debt?
people will come to me and say that and I paid it, and we paid it off during the marriage. So, that's
Love.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
looking back on that, I probably shouldn't have done that. But I mean,
Right.
you are in love and you go, okay, well, let's work. We're a team. We're going to work together.
Married, our money, my money is your money.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying, what is it? Your money is your money. Our money and my money is mine.
Yeah.
Essentially, that works.
Yeah, and you work hard, pay off their student debt, and then
Their medical school and
right, and then doesn't
and
last
then they
long.
go and have an affair with their nurse and leave you and have another baby. Really happens.
Ain't that some shit?
Happens.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I mean, you make a good point though, because I don't think it's that uncommon for people to discuss like, okay, financially, once we get married, how's this going to work? Are we going to share a bank account? Or are we going to like?
Well, no, I agree with that.
And that part of the planning. So why wouldn't it be taboo to discuss the debt part of it?
Yeah,
Because I think a lot of times if you have a lot of debt, people may feel a lot of shame around that.
That's true. Yeah.
When the easiest way is, all right, let's each run our credit report
right.
and let's see what's out there and just sit down and around the kitchen table and a glass of wine and let's talk about it.
Right. So when I do the prenups for people, I have them both list all their liabilities and assets.
Right.
So that's out in the open. Everyone can disclose it. So if they haven't discussed it at that point, they're going to talk about it then. So that's one thing to consider, is just that life does change, but also to protect you from being more poor than you were when you got married,
Right, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, let's keep you moving in a positive
Correct.
direction.
Correct.
And it anticipates, there's language in there about anticipating businesses. So maybe you don't own a business during the marriage or before you get married, but then you start one during the marriage. That's pretty huge.
So that's my business.
Yeah. As long as
Right.
you put your title, I mean, if everyone's in the business and you're 50-50 owners, well, you guys made a decision to make 50-50 ownership. So,
But if you had to go to court, if you own the business 100%, I'm still entitled to 50% of it.
without a prenup, yes.
Correct. That's
but
what
if you
I'm
have a
saying.
prenup that addresses title and,
Right.
and business, and if you own it, then that's your business, then you're going to be covered.
Right. But otherwise, you're going to lose half your business. You're going to
Right.
lose half your retirement. You're going to lose half the equity in a house that you maybe put $100,000 down on for a
Right.
down payment. So those are all things to consider. And you're not being mean. You're not, it doesn't mean you don't love the other person. You're just being sort of smart about it.
Yeah.
And it can always change. It's a
And it does-
contract.
and
Everything
you
can
might
change.
not. You might not break up. You might stay together
Together
forever. And it doesn't matter.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Cam with New Direction Family Law. And if you yourself have been through a divorce or you know someone that's contemplating divorce, then you know how important it is to make sure that you know your legal rights or your friend knows their legal rights and options to help develop the best plan for them and their family moving forward. At New Direction Family Law, we have over 80 years of combined experience protecting the rights of our clients in family law matters. We aggressively advocate, we aggressively support, and we absolutely educate our clients to achieve the best possible outcome. So if you know someone or you yourself are facing these questions or contemplating separation or divorce, give us a call to schedule an initial consultation today. You can reach us at 919-719-3470 on our website at newdirectionfamilylaw.com, or you can click the link in the episode description.
What can you put in a prenup? We talked about property. What else?
We can put alimony, so waiver of alimony, or some people are quick to be like, just waive alimony, and then I'll usually say, well, you can, if you're going down that road, think about if you have really young children.
Right.
Like sometimes we can put in there that if you have children that are not yet in elementary school, then you
feel
are
like you can't
entitled
work.
to it.
So you can get really crafty with the alimony section,
I agree.
and put certain things in there about what if this happens, and then that would happen. You could leave it out altogether and just say,
Let the courts deal with it.
we'll deal with that if that
Right.
comes down the road, or you just do the waiver, especially if both people are seemingly equal footing at that time.
Well, what if somebody comes to you and we're a week out now and I'm really in love with this guy, and you tell me you should not sign this. And they say, well, if I don't sign it, he won't marry me. So they sign it. Nothing we can do. That's it.
Yeah,
Their choice.
Is that a little
right?
red flaggy? Like,
Not if you think about it when
him,
you're
yeah.
in love and you're right in there. They'll come back to see us in a few years, I'm
yeah,
sure. But
like I'm seeing his red flags.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's a scenario I haven't been in, luckily. So I don't know. I'd probably be very adamant that this person slow down and
Right.
read it
Right.
and ask me questions, and why am I telling them not to sign it? It must be something that's really against them and not reciprocal. I don't know.
Right. But at the end of the day, we're not the boss. The client's the boss, and they get to make that decision. Our job is just to tell them best, worst. Here's what my advice is.
Yeah.
I think.
And it's not the absolute end of the day. So if you've been married for 2 years and you signed a prenup and things are going to change, like you have decided that you are going to, stop pursuing your career and you are going to stay home with the children, but oh shit, I've made that waiver in the prenup.
Right.
Come back to an attorney. You can have that amended. You can have that a change as long as everyone signs it.
You can
always kind of thought it was
change
final.
Yeah.
No, contract, like even separation agreement. If both parties agree to modify it and reduce it back to writing, you can always modify stuff. Which is different than a court order. You don't have any control over that. But that's what's so good about agreements is you control what goes in there.
Yeah. So when things start to change and you remember that prenup says something that maybe is not going to be as beneficial to you anymore, talk to an attorney, get that changed.
Right. And see what you can do about that. Can you put stuff about kids in there? Children?
No. I mean, you could, but it's not going to hold up. It doesn't mean anything.
Child support?
No. So think about it like when the court gives an order for custody, it's based on the best interest of the child at that time. So it doesn't matter what you guys talked about in your prenup 10 years ago. This is the best interest of the kid today. So the court's not going to care what you guys put in that prenup about custody.
Right.
And pretty much the same for child support.
Right. That's always modifiable and changed.
You need to financially support your children. So,
and a lot, there's sometimes I've seen them put in here, and you probably have too, that this thing's going to be null and void if you guys screw around on me. Or you owe me, or if I find out that you do, you owe me a lot of money for that.
Sure. Yeah. So you can put things in there. It can't be against public policy.
Nope.
What does that mean against public policy?
That they have to keep their weight below a certain amount. Like things are just extreme. Or you need to make sure you keep my heroin supply coming to me. Like that would be crazy. Crazy thing.
I've seen. I haven't done this, but we have to have sex 3 times a week or something like that. So I mean, you can sign it, but then if you want to challenge it, you can do that.
Okay.
Right. But it's always modifiable. And so think about that. And so if you sign this and we separate. Am I screwed? I'm stuck with that, right? I can't go to the court and ask them to divide the property 50-50.
If it's a valid prenuptial agreement, I mean, you can go file in court. But the other side's going to wave that prenup in the air and say, Judge,
So what can I do? Are there defenses to it?
The defenses would be something against public policy in it. That there was some sort of involuntary signing, so maybe they were coerced into signing it.
Does the example that you gave count, like marry me or
kind of? It depends on what evidence.
I think about free will about that. I think it's more of you got to the venue, you're dressed, and somebody walks in there and says this. Yeah, I mean that's
in
pretty
the
extreme.
moment kind of duress, like
it is. You feel like I have to sign this. You know? And it's a pretty high bar too. I think.
And so it is considered as the timing of everyone being presented with a prenuptial agreement. And I think that was mentioned in that case law we read earlier, even though it didn't go much into the facts, but that does matter. And for some reason, people do really like to wait to close to the wedding date to reach out to an attorney. It just seems to happen a lot of times.
Because the other side, the one that wants it, they're getting married, they're in love, they don't want to screw it. They're afraid of what the reaction.
Talk about it.
They're afraid that the other person's going to call it off or something. Yeah. But I had a prenup.
I have a prenup.
Yeah. And and I think it's very important when you're older and you have children or you have grandchildren. I think because then it preserves your estate, and you can still take care of your new spouse, but it does protect them also.
That is huge. That is, the second marriage. I have kids already. I want to make sure they inherit any property.
Right.
And make sure that is protected. And that's something I definitely recommend for anyone that's getting married and have children.
And doing a second time around, I think. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've only had one prenup case where it got too heated and the marriage didn't happen.
Well, and
that was part of it.
That's probably good.
Yeah.
So.
It wasn't my fault. Absolutely not.
I'm sure it wasn't your fault.
What's the strangest thing you've ever been asked to put into a prenup?
I haven't had anything strange or weird.
But I mean, I've read them like having sex a certain amount, keeping your weight down. You have to fix me dinner 3 times a week. I mean, that is not a red flag to somebody to go, how controlling are you?
I was just reading in the New York Post. I think maybe there's this is the famous example that you guys are talking about, but basically keeping the weight down. It was in the prenup. Every 10 pounds the wife gained, she lost 10 grand a month. So she started at 70, and if she every 10 pounds
And this was
She
in the
started
prenup.
70 pounds or 70
This is
grand?
a-
She started at 70 grand a month. And
Okay.
for every 10 pounds in this prenup from this lawyer in New York who put his name on it. He was like, yeah, James Sexton. Yeah, we did this one. This was us.
dummy.
And he said,
With
I did
pride.
it. And it was gross. That's what he said.
I did it. It was
And it
gross.
was gross.
Well, it ought to be reciprocal, is all I gotta say.
right.
Why do
Exactly.
men age so gracefully?
I don't know. I
Shame.
haven't had anything crazy like that.
No. I mean, ours are pretty. I just got finished doing a postnup, which is sort of the same thing. You can do the same sort of contract after you're married. So you've acquired all this marital property, you bought a house together, kids, retirement, and all of that, and then you want to. And you're not contemplating separating. You just for some I don't know why, but a lot of people do it, and
For
then just separate.
businesses,
Yeah,
it's
separate
important.
Oh
it
yeah,
out.
that makes sense. And one of you might have mentioned this earlier, but like inherited, like
Right.
family property, you all of a sudden have that you weren't expecting, or something like that.
I mean, inheritance is going to be your separate property until you start to like commingle, or it's.
But
you know,
people still
given-
fight over it too.
People do.
You know, and then that just quits the commission. It's like, nope, it's mine.
Yeah.
Let's just sign off on it.
You're taking one thing off the table to fight about.
Right.
But a lot of times with businesses that are growing during the marriage, or if you're, partial owner of a business, and there might be requirements to have a postnup,
postnup, right.
because what the business doesn't want to happen, say you have a business with, 5 people in it, they don't want their business to go down because, 1/5 of it is being, argued about in court. And like they put a freeze on like certain parts of the business, and like all these things are happening. which can
That's such
happen.
a good point. I didn't
Right.
think about like it being a requirement in order to enter into a partnership or part of your
That,
business
or like they
whatever.
just lose their equity in it just immediately. They're like, okay, bye. We're selling your part, and you're out of here, because it can really frustrate a business.
Yeah, because you think about how many people are in business. I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, content creators. There's a lot of people who work for themselves or who start a side hustle or do something like that. And that's, even though it's yours, it's all marital property unless you put some provisions around it.
Yeah. So any business owners listening out there,
Yeah, come see us. We
Yeah.
can help you.
we can definitely help you.
What else? Is anything else we haven't talked about that people need to know about? How do you generally do prenups? I'll usually say, if there's not an attorney on the other side, I sort of say, tell me about what's going to be the best way for this person to receive
Yeah.
it. Do you want to go and give it to them, or I can send it to them with a very nice email or something
Right.
like that?
I usually tell, leave that up to my client.
Yeah,
I had
exactly.
that conversation this morning with a client. I was like, well, you want me to like do it, or you can just do it? And she's like, I'll just do it. I'm like, okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I've done it 5 days out, and now it's like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that. Am I screwed?
Well, you haven't got married yet.
Well, let's say we did. It's coming. I'm thinking about it. I really don't want to. Can I undo it?
Everyone agrees to.
But if they don't, but if I don't get married and I've signed it, what happens?
If you don't get married, and it doesn't mean anything.
right, because
Yeah.
it's based on the fact that you get married.
It's like conditional. Like once you
Right.
get married, this is the agreement. Yes.
right.
Well, what makes me think is like, why wouldn't they be happy with it? What did it say?
because he gets everything. Because he is a multimillionaire and he met you and you have nothing, and you loved him so much that you said, "Okay, you keep yours and I'll keep mine, but I don't have anything."
Well,
That would.
do you still love? Do you still love him?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Like that's really
I
complicated,
know,
right?
Right. So
That's going to be a personal decision.
Yes, it is.
But thinking down the line, if she like waived alimony, but they had 5 kids and didn't work, there's a chance that the court might say, well, this is,
Unconscionable.
extreme.
Yes.
If he really is a billionaire, this is an extreme situation. And there are times where the court will be like, okay, well, this is violating public policy in the respect that this person has zero money.
Right.
And I think also,
I think if they go on government assistance, then you have you can go and seek something.
if they qualify for government assistance, because the government's then at that point, we're not going to fund this. Like, no, to hell with your prenup. You pay for this.
We're not doing
us.
that. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
But to your guys' point, that's why you should have the conversation when you still like each other.
Right.
Like if you have it before you get married and you're the billionaire, then you can make a decision based on your good feelings about that person. Like, yeah, I think you should be entitled to some of the money. And it's not going to be so dang contentious. But
Yeah.
And you sort of wonder, why are you asking me to waive it?
Yeah.
If you want me to, you had a conversation, I want you to stay home. We're going to have kids right away. I don't want you to work. You don't have to. Like that would make me sort of wonder.
Yeah, but we've experienced a lot professionally. And I think about these people.
We're a little jaded sometimes.
And they aren't thinking about that down the road. And it's hard to, think about what that looks like and that this person would ever hurt you and want to keep you at home with the kids just because that makes life easier for them.
I agree. But if you live in Texas now, you're not going to get alimony anyway.
Yeah. Good luck down there, y'all.
Oof.
Yeah. So, prenups, it's a personal decision for sure. It's a good opportunity to at least have a conversation about finances. I know, like, when my best friends, was presented with a prenup and she had me review it and I said, looks pretty, it was New York. I can't really give, legal advice in New York, but it looks like it just like regurgitates New York law, which is what, North Carolina, a lot of my prenups just regurgitate North Carolina law and they don't want to keep it separate. They want it to be marital.
Right.
They just want it to be simplified so there's less to fight about in the future, which is perfectly fine too. But she still said today, I don't want to I'm not going to sign it.
Really? Good for her.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
ain't that some shit?
Ain't that some shit, y'all?
Ain't that some
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave us a review. You can visit us at newdirectionfamilylaw.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at the Exit Strategy _podcast or email us at exitstrategy@newdirectionfamilylaw.com. We'll be back next time with more no bullshit content about life, divorce, parenting, relationships, and everything in between.